Right. Hello. Good morning. It is High Priestess Jamila. We're not going to do any music prior to this one. We're just going to get right into the discussion. And I want to discuss because we kind of got thrown off a little bit. Oh, by the way, happy June the 1st to you guys. Um, we are 2 days ahead of the full moon. So happy full moon to you guys. Make sure that you get at me about your spiritual work, okay? Because my rituals are actually 50% off, which means that you can do a lot with that. 50% off of my rituals is very good because you can possibly get 3 or 4 workings that you may need. So contact me if you guys want a consultation. The link to my website is below in the video description box. And yeah. Sorry, I'm looking for my coffee cup. I know where it's at. Okay. So what I want to discuss today is men, more on the subject of males being possessed by Jezebel spirit. Okay. And some of the signs and the symptoms and possible remedies. Possible remedies. To be honest with you, a lot of women who are dealing with men who are possessed by Jezebel tend to walk away quickly, and nothing actually is ever done. I think that in order for a woman to even inquire about a man when he's been under Jezebel's possession, for a woman to even consider doing anything to help him, this has possibly got to be a man that you really love, somebody that you're married to, someone that you may have children by, but not all the time. Some women are just like, boy, bye. Okay. Because when a man becomes possessed by Jezebel, it's, and see, I'm not talking about just like a temporary type of thing. Possession is not always temporary. Sometimes possession can last a while, a long time, sometimes days, weeks, months, or even years. Okay. And like I explained in some of the earlier videos, Jezebel's spirit is very close to narcissism. It's very, very similar. Um, and it's almost like it does feel it when a man becomes possessed by Jezebel's spirit, it does feel like he can't think. It's like none of it makes any sense. But possession is altogether a different thing than just like actual real life possession can be a disaster. Okay, it can be an utter and absolute disaster, very embarrassing, very antisocial behavior, things that are not accepted. A lot of hatred can ensue for that man. Okay. Oh, cool. Cool. Star, star, star. Is that your name? No. Hello. Good morning. Um, so, to be honest with you, when a man is possessed by Jezebel, it's just like it's not even a man anymore. It's a woman, it's a female energy. Okay. He begins to compete with you big time. Like just like if it were a jealous woman, he'll start to compete with you. He's no longer a man. It's like another woman. It's very scary because it's not a woman, it's a man. You're dealing with a man that sometimes they can be violent. Sometimes. Um, I think the main aspect of Jezebel's spirit when she goes into men is that all of a sudden he's making it seem like you're not deserving of love. You know, and all of a sudden, because you're not perfect, just like he is not perfect, he'll start to speak to you as if you don't deserve love or respect from him because of, you may have anything going on. You may have gained weight. Is one of the precursors for Jezebel, which that doesn't, I mean, that doesn't give him the right. Weight gain happens for various reasons, and a lot of the times it is, uh, a lot of times it's not that big of a deal. All of a sudden, you know, a, a normal weight gain, all of a sudden, it's an urgency, emergency. But the thing of it is that none of the behavior is supporting of any weight loss goals. So it's almost like he is, how do I describe this? It's like instead of the situation supporting bettering yourself, but it all goes against it. It's not anything that would be motivational. He becomes very abusive, um and totally loses himself. Okay. And men like that, I'm gonna tell you something, especially if you were in a relationship with that man. They wake up eventually, especially if they don't want to accept that they are possessed, because a lot of men have an area in their brain that doesn't allow them to really be able to control that spirit or their own spirit. Some of them do. Some men do, but you know, a man that is possessed by Jezebel's spirit, he will mess up totally and completely. He will, because honestly, they're not thinking for themselves at all. And Jezebel's spirit is going to cause depression, lifelong depression, especially if she's managed to possess your significant other or your husband. If she's managed to do that, and you and he finally wakes up from that possession, it's very difficult to look at him the same again. It's just like I don't mean to go back to movie references, but it's just like in that movie Poltergeist. When he's possessed by Cain, it's the same thing. They say very abusive things that are inappropriate, that they would not normally say, but it's difficult because it could kill your love for them totally. It's a possibility. Um, and a lot of times, if there was love there, ever, if that man truly loved you, okay, and you can't go back, you're like, I'm never going back to this situation because this man is out of control. Same thing if he can't control his spirits. Okay. Oh, thank you. Um, Jezebel spirit possession, even if it's temporary, can lead to lifelong depression. I've actually seen it happen. I've seen it happen to where the woman, the man truly loved the woman, truly loved her, you know, and she was good for him. Went under that temporary Jezebel possession. She couldn't deal with it no more. And that man literally, his life went downhill, depression. Because, you know, the thing of it is about possession is that even though Jezebel will have them doing things like having fun on the beach, that's the first thing that they start getting attracted to is the beach. And if you are a woman, especially if you are a woman that is giving birth, everybody doesn't have a beach body. It that doesn't mean that you don't deserve love. That doesn't mean that you don't deserve kindness and dignity and respect. But they'll be on these beaches and hanging out like a beach bum, and they'll be moving in this motion, especially when it comes to Jezebel messing up your love. You'll still be thinking about him. He'll be on your mind all the time. But in the meantime, he's possessed by Jezebel, and he's thinking about you all the time as well, because he knows that you are the best thing that ever happened to him, and that you gave him love, and he needs that love. But instead, he's going to behave in a manner that Jezebel wants him to behave. And he may do that for weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. But when he wakes up and he realizes that he has lost you, I'm going to tell y'all something. I have seen men go downhill completely because of that. Completely. Because what Jezebel will do, she isn't capable of love. She's going to use that man for whatever ego trip, whatever she got going on. And when it boiled down to it, because Jezebel is eventually going to leave that man. I've seen men be possessed by Jezebel for up to a year. Okay. She's going to leave that man. I'm going to go over how they become possessed. She is gonna leave that man, and he is gonna wake up, and he is gonna look at you, and probably by then, you probably would have moved on by then. Possibly even did the glow up. You was beautiful. It was nothing wrong with you before he flipped. It was nothing wrong with you. Okay, sis. And he knew that. He knew that. That's why he was with you. You know. Which, let me tell you something. Jezebel has really been focusing on this superficiality. A lot of these men are being tested, and they're failing horribly, horribly failing. Um, but once he wakes up, looks at you, he's gonna want you back. He's gonna immediately want you back. He is. He's gonna immediately want to be with you. He's gonna and and when you reject him, when he realizes, because he thinks that you are gonna fall for his old stuff, whatever made you, whatever helped him get you in the first place, he thinks you're gonna fall for it. And when he realized that he can never have you again, this is when the aftermath of Jezebel will start to manifest. And he will become desperate. He'll be going to all kind of practitioners trying to do spiritual work on you. He'll probably even try to get some of these spiritualists to put, demonic love workings on you to get you back, just because he was probably already kind of controlling to begin with. But, then after becoming possessed by Jezebel and thinking she's not going to ever leave me anyway, and I'm going to go and be a beach bum and act crazy and stupid, and she's going to always be there. She's never going to leave me. when you do leave, because sometimes it can be circumstances, and as the man is leaving you when he's possessed, when you're breaking up during Jezebel possession, he's telling you you're fat, you're ugly, nobody wants you, nobody wants to be with you, nobody. So that's a part of the psychosis of Jezebel, right? Because he really does want you to believe that the reason why he wants to mess with your self-esteem is because he wants to make sure you're waiting for him. In reality, a lot of women are not waiting for a man to come back to them when they have treated her that way. And so when he realizes he cannot come back, he's going to pretend as if it doesn't matter, but it matters because he wants to come back. It probably, I'm going to tell you straight up and down in 2023, even in the last decade, he's going to realize that the superficial things are no longer going to sustain him. He is going to have heart and chest pains that nobody can fulfill, nobody can make feel better except for you. And you're done. Okay. So this can last for years. I've actually experienced it before. Not anytime recently, but it sort of starts a downward spiral. Is pretty much what ends up happening, is a downward spiral. And here's what I want to say about that. I personally know that there are a lot of you women that y'all are the best, y'all are everything. Y'all should be given everything, all of the praise. And it's not just because you come to me and you pay for work. It's not just because of that. The reason why I say this is because a lot of you guys will have discernment and you'll say something is wrong with him. I know I'm not perfect. And I know I don't always make the right decisions, but something is not right. And we will confirm that he is factually possessed by Jezebel. And a lot of you guys will work on these men. And, you can get them straight pretty quickly. You get work done on them and they'll be back to normal. And it'll just be, the same person because you already know his fate. Jezebel's going to destroy him. The whole situation is going to destroy that man. And a lot of men are very lucky when they actually run into a woman that actually really loves him, because a lot of women is like, you can go die in the gutter, and they will go die in the gutter. They will. Okay. But a lot of y'all that come to me and y'all say, Jamila, something wrong with this man, and I love this man, and he's still communicating, but his communication may have stopped, and you'll go, oh my God, what's going on with him? Something's not right. Right. And so you'll do work, and a lot of people, Jezebel spirited people, will judge you, but you are that man's angel to actually pay for work for him and say, something ain't right. I know him better than this. I know how he should be. This doesn't feel right. This feels off. This doesn't even feel like this should be reality. This is like a sick sitcom or something that I can't do it. Okay. Which video did you just finish watching, Kinsley's mommy? I'm going to answer your question as far as how they get possessed, and the how may trigger the Jezebels, but I'm going to tell y'all how they get possessed. Okay. But first of all, I want to say to a lot of you women that do truly love these men that are going through spiritual psychoses and possession, because there is a difference between being under a spiritual influential psychosis versus full possession. Okay, there is a difference, but the psychosis can turn into possession. Okay, and you women are sweet and loving, and you deserve to be with a man that you love. I think that is not, like, if you understand where I'm coming from as a woman, a lot of women are settling for men that they don't love, and that is sad. It's and the man may love you, but you don't feel the same way. Not even close. You're just with him just because you want a man in your life, and you want some kind of, family unit, but it's hell and torture being with a man that you don't truly love. Somebody that you truly love becomes possessed and destroyed by a malevolent spirit, and you actually stay and you weather the storm with him and you stick by him. Not only are you loving yourself, but you also are an amazing and strong woman. So any of y'all that come and get love work and y'all work on these men, there is no judgment, absolutely none. Like, honestly, because that man, instead of you choosing to watch him perish, because he will perish, he will, especially if he's under any kind of Jezebel influence. It causes men to be very self-destructive. I mean, and it may not even happen right away, but he gets very depressed. It's the depression that Jezebel causes. It is something very special about a relationship where you both love each other equally. That's a blessing from God. That's the greatest gift from God, because I don't mean that. Before I get into the how they get possessed, I want to say this. I've always felt like I was settling either for a man that I didn't love equally, so I kind of always wasn't that into him. I felt like he was showing me affection and doing the best that he could, but I just wasn't into him. But I was with him anyway. And that don't feel good. That's not a good feeling. So when you actually, find somebody that is your person, that is the one that you actually love too, because having a man love me, and I don't know how many of you women understand this, but I know that as a woman, I've always said this. I've had a lot of men love me and want me, and sometimes even stalked me, but I just didn't love them back. If you're actually lucky enough to find a man that you actually do love, because who wants to put up with a man that they don't actually love? I don't. That's how, I mean, and that's how you can tell that women, it's not that you don't appreciate them, but women, we do have a connection with Jezebel, but not in that sense. It's not the same. You know what I'm saying? So, because Jezebel doesn't love anybody at all. Like, she doesn't have the capability to actually find somebody that we would believe that she truly loves. She would probably try to pretend that she loves him, but in reality, she doesn't. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's, as a woman, you're lucky not to find a man that loves you. There's plenty of men that may love you, but do you love them back? I'd rather be alone than not, than to be dealing with a man that I don't truly, just love with that passion, that passionate love. So anyway, going back to how they get possessed by Jezebel. Number one is church. If they go to church, they can pick up Jezebel spirit in the church. Jezebel spirit runs rampant in the church. Okay. The number the but I believe that these days, because not too many people go to church, even though people watch church on TV, and it depends on what church. I'm gonna talk about church for a second. If I've went into a lot of churches, and there was one particular church that I went to in Kansas City. And this church was holding service, and there was no candles lit, there was no holy water, and there was no smoke. There was no Three Kings incense. They didn't even have us incense stick burning. So a lot of these churches, because if you go into a uh, Catholic church, or if you go into one of these big churches, I would hope that they would have some kind of candles going, the incense burning. I wouldn't trust a church. That's one of the signs that you want to look out for. You walk into a church and there's no candles and there's no incense and there's no holy water. Uh the pastor doesn't even offer holy water blessings. So that means that they're conjuring these demons and spirits, because pastor has to conjure those spirits. And so you may walk into the church not having those spirits on you, but being that pastor is not properly containing those negative spirits. Not only pastor can be affected by it, but then anybody in the church can be affected by spirits jumping around and inside of them. Okay. Okay. Kinsley's mommy. Yeah, that will definitely do some protection. And I still have that banana in my freezer. But I realized shortly after that something stronger is gonna be needed. I realized that something stronger, yeah, on that person. So yeah, unfortunately it worked to a fault, but something much stronger is gonna be needed for that case. Okay. But yeah. Yeah, when you're going when you're in a church ceremony, you have the pastor, even though he's invoking Jesus's name, right? But then again, he's also calling out evil. He's bringing out those spirits, and if they're not properly contained, disposed of, or something, then you can end up with a bad spirit from church. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh God, yeah. Yes. I love doing I make sure that I keep a bag of lemons in my house. Lemons are so good for a lot of different things. And um I don't think I showed it on here, but I did a lemon working with black peppercorns are really, really good. And either hot foot powder or either just plain old chili powder, lemons, limes, black pepper, salt, any other type of herb that you may need. But yeah, lemons are good. Okay, so another way that men pick it up, which is very, very common, more common than church, is online. Online. Okay. Listen, these men that are running around here chasing after Instagram models, looking at internet porn models, OnlyFans models. Jezebel is right there on that. And it's not that I'm downing those women. You got to make it however you can in this world, if that's the only way you know how to make it. But a lot of times those women, especially wandering women, a woman that is wandering around, no matter what excuse she makes, she probably got spirits on her. And it can either happen unintentionally or intentionally. So Jezebel spirit can be invoked with a Jezebel curse. Okay, so there's a such thing as cursing somebody with a Jezebel curse. And you can curse somebody. You can either curse the woman, the man, or both with what is called a Jezebel curse. But I think that communicating with certain people can cause that spirit to jump on you. hmm I think it's more so the interaction with certain people that have that spirit on them. Um, can be a way to do it from other men. There's a lot of men that are possessed by Jezebel spirit. A lot of them. And some of y'all even see them every day in social media. Very self-destructive, very loud, obnoxious, just messed up. And they're usually doing things like arguing with other men or women or both. Okay. So they can pick it up from their friends, they can pick it up from family. It can happen. But see, the thing of it is, here's what spirit wants. Spirit really wants these men to wake up, because I swear to you, when you realize what spirit is doing, when you actually take a good look at what spirit is doing to your life, and what malevolent spirits could be doing to your life. A lot of men think, oh, all I have to do is wear a crucifix and say that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. Literally, a lot of them think that. And they're in and out of jail. They're beating on women. They're raping, killing, being verbally abusive, diabolical. So apparently, they're just looking for forgiveness, but that's the extent. Yeah, Jesus can forgive. This is one of the reasons why I have a great relationship with Jesus. It's not my religion, but okay, but I respect Jesus, because Jesus, is a large part of my life. So whenever Jesus manifests, I have to be respectful, because, you know, I do utilize hoodoo workings sometimes for healings and various purposes. Okay. For some situations, in particular with Jezebel. But I think that in that case, when it comes to Jesus Christ, a lot of people that, and this is a lot of men's extent of their understanding of spirituality and even religion. I mess up. I ask Jesus for forgiveness. It seems like I'm all right. And then I just move on. But a lot of us know that that's not the case. More than likely she did, sweetie. More than likely she did. And it's so heartbreaking when you love somebody and you know that they are under a spell. And see, even when, that's why I went ahead and made some more spell breaker oil. Because a lot of times you need not only a curse reversal, because a lot of people are always talking about reversal. A lot of times you actually need a spell breaker, especially when you're dealing with some people, because people can be under spells sometimes, which, in the medical community, it's called, in the mental health community, it's called a psychosis. Okay. But a lot of the times the psychosis is being treated with talking to the person, which does no good, or either medication, which just suppresses it only a little bit, and then you end up with a shell of a person walking around. So this is a person it puts them even more in a spiritual prison. And so there's a lot, there is a lot that I discovered about mental and spiritual prisons. And a lot of times, when they say lost souls, that that's somebody that lost their soul. So it could be very, like, I mean, various things it could be. And I believe that Jezebel causes a lot of diseases, a lot of ailments, a lot of mental problems, a lot of health problems, to whereas they're thinking, oh, this is just normal, it runs in my family. But that doesn't even make any sense. So everything is spiritual, and I have to be careful discussing that, because the whole medical misinformation. So because I don't want them to flag this video. Okay. Right. Yeah. Well, it's good that his brother is into voodoo, and that he seems like he's a good person, because a lot of the times family members that will be into voodoo or hoodoo or witchcraft, what they will do is they will completely throw the person under the bus, sometimes even be responsible. So that's good that his brother is actually looking out for him. He's very lucky. Right. I've never heard of that movie. Maybe I'll watch it. I'll pin cushion that. So Jezebel will make them very superficial. They'll go out seeking superficial things, thinking that, superficial, looks or height or weight, on a woman, or a person, or even themselves, but they'll be empty inside. They'll be completely gutted out. And so eventually they'll realize, wow, my life is completely empty. Okay. And just because they come back to you doesn't mean that they're not still under Jezebel's possession, because they'll start to realize that. But the problem is that, what are you really doing to protect yourself from this? Because you just flew all off the handle and lost your mind. Just completely lost it. And especially if you had this man's baby. Okay. If you done had his baby, or either you've been with him, you've been with him through a lot, through thick and thin, and you may not have been looking your best, because hell, you've been at spiritual war for him. And you may be tired, you may have dark circles because you done been through so much, because you love that man, and then all of a sudden you're not good enough. You're not good enough for him. Right. And so that's Jezebel. Okay. That's her spirit right there. That's her spirit right there. And it's ugly. It's disgusting. There's nothing worse than, a man that is under that kind of spiritual influence, that can't look at you and your love that you give to him and actually appreciate it. All of a sudden he just doesn't appreciate you. And, We recognize it as narcissism, but narcissism is actually Jezebel spirit. And we all have a little bit in us, all of us. It's what makes us maintain ourselves. So that spirit is okay as long as it's not over exaggerated. Okay. Yeah, you were telling me about that. Feel free to contact me, Kinsley's mommy. I was actually going to tell you to contact me after I saw your comment. Because, honestly, when it comes to Jezebel, you don't even necessarily have to be disrespectful to that spirit, but more so, I mean, it makes you want to because it becomes it's too much. It's when it's over exaggerated. That's just like it's good to have a certain level of confidence. It's good to have a certain level of self-esteem. But if you're a person that's out there going, "Oh, I'm the best person in the world. I'm the most beautiful woman in the world. All you women are underneath me. Every single woman in the world doesn't possess my beauty. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the?" And it's okay to look at yourself and go, I am valuable. I'm valued, right? It's okay to do that, but when it's overly exaggerating over the top is, when you are constantly looking at other people, comparing yourself to them, the competitive spirit can sometimes be over the top, and that can be an over exaggerated uh Jezebel spirit, which means that you don't have control over yourself. It's an overactive solar plexus. It's and an overactive solar plexus is going to lead to an overactive heart. It's going to completely throw the whole your whole thing, okay, off. It's going to throw you off completely. Okay. John Lane says true. Unfortunately, I've left a couple broken-hearted women in my wake. They were great women. Yeah, well, I'm sure that those women healed themselves. I hope. Unfortunately, sometimes women, oh man, sometimes it can destroy a woman. She'll be out there. I'd say what I have seen before is women that will start to sleep around a lot, so they'll go through extremes, and that's pretty much what Jezebel possession creates, is these extremes. Uh, you know, they'll either go out and sleep around, change themselves, they're no longer the same person because they're afflicted. Because Jezebel rarely comes for she's not just coming for the man, she's coming for the woman. Okay. And her intent is destruction. The actual spirit wants to destroy. Okay. And so some of her traits are good, like if you need to speak out. But that doesn't necessarily have to be accredited to Jezebel. That can just be your own personal power. But when it's over exaggerated, the way that Jezebel will do it, I mean, and we've all been, but listen, none of us are perfect all the time. Um, you know, but I think that when somebody is under Jezebel possession, it's just like, oh, I'm all that. Ain't nobody better than me. And that can happen because of heartbreak too. Like you have this extreme, and it's not a person that you want to be around. I don't think I wouldn't want to be around a woman like that or a person like that. if they're behaving that way all the time. It will start getting on my nerve after a while. Okay. All right, Kinsley's mommy. So they start to carry on a lot of womanly traits. Men that are possessed by Jezebel. It's like you're dealing with another woman. And that's where you get the competition. All of a sudden this man is competing with you. And it's not normal. It's definitely not normal for a man to be competing with a woman. Yeah. Jezebel's spirit will make up the man. He cannot see the error to his ways. It's like he's a blind man. It's like he's blind. He can't listen to you. He everything is your fault. He's not going to take accountability. He's going to definitely make it worse. He's going to definitely stalk you. He's going to stalk you eventually. He's going to stalk you. And how you can tell that uh that he's still possessed by Jezebel even though he's stalking you is that he is expecting you to take all of the responsibility for this complete and utter meltdown of a situation that is so abusive. He's expecting you. It's all your fault. All of it is your fault. And that's how you can tell that Jezebel still possesses him. And some of y'all have been dealing with a man that has been possessed for the past 3 to 4 years by Jezebel, or 3 years. You notice the change in him. And it was slowly creeping in to where all of a sudden he's abusing you and he doesn't even care. Yeah. Yep. He doesn't even care about the abusiveness. And all of a sudden, you are being punished by this man just because you love him. He hates you. All of a sudden, there's hate because you love him. And, eh, you know, so it's hard, it's difficult. Um, I think in some kind of way, whether or not it is through mental health counseling, if he's not this is the most difficult part of it, is when he is not acclimated to understanding spirituality on a deep level. So if he is not understanding of that and he doesn't see that it's not about controlling him with witchcraft. That I mean, people always, I don't understand that. So it's not about controlling or dominating him because he's sick. Somebody under possession is actually sick. Okay. So it's rare that I get an actual couple. I used to a lot. And and then also it's rare because I do most of my readings and workings with women. So it's rare that you get a man that actually has his eyes open to these spiritual problems and can actually admit that he needs help. So I think that if you can at least get him to seek mental help for maybe, anger management, or which usually that's done through medication, but it's so difficult. And sadly, a lot of you guys are going to lose your men to these demons because they just don't want to face it. They're not going to admit to it. Right. She'll become a spiritual. She'll become a third party. She'll become a third party. Okay. So, and she's not helping. She's not helping. She's pretty much tearing that man down. And you're asking him simple questions. What's wrong with you? It's actually Jezebel's spirit that's actually tearing him down. You may be fussing at him, and if you actually speak to him and talk to him, you're like, "What is wrong with you? You're acting crazy." And he's asking you, "Why are you tearing me down?" It's not me that's tearing you down. It's that demon. It's that spirit that's tearing you down. I'm not doing anything. I care about you. I love you. But they're blind at that point. It's just like dealing with a crippled blind person. And by the time they make their way back to you, they probably will have a broken leg or a broken arm or something. And they'll blame it on you. Somehow Jezebel will blame it on you. And there are a lot of women that get pissed off when men do stuff like this. And they'll say, I want him to fall down the steps, or I want, I want him to die. So, you get angry, and a lot of women will stay angry that way. And that means that, okay, yeah, you obviously didn't love him because, you know, you know, because it wasn't about love. It was about ego. It was about ego building. It wasn't about love at that point. Um, but yeah, death spells as well. And I've actually seen this a lot. Men having death destruction spells, curses on them, Jezebel curses on them, and they are totally blind. They usually end up in jail, uh, hurt, sick. It's not that you're wishing it on them, it's that spirit that they're possessed by. So, a lot of women come and get spiritual help. The main aspect of dealing with Jezebel spirit is doing the exorcism. A lot of times, depending on what you're dealing with, you may have to retrieve his soul, because he's very fragmented, very lost, and wandering. Okay. And sometimes you have to get actual testing done on men that are possessed by Jezebel spirit, because she has been known to make them catch STDs. Okay. A man that has Jezebel spirit on him, they will obtain and spread STDs. Yeah. So I'd say the it sometimes it's so bad that it takes time. And if you haven't been getting the proper help, because there's a lot of people, either they don't want to deal with those spirits, or either they're afraid of those spirits. It's what I do for a living. And trust me, it can really, really be devastating to your life. But I'm equipped to deal with it. Even some of the most horrible things I've always been able to get myself out of, because I know the craft, and I know, various, rituals and workings to do. But a lot of you guys, typically what Jezebel is doing is she does feed. She is very, I don't want to say very vampiric, but very parasitic. Okay. And a lot of the times it's so toxic that, some of you guys may experience financial difficulty. And right at that time that you may be experiencing some financial difficulty, he walking out the door and he leaving you with them bills. And you may be thinking, what am I going to do? What the hell am I going to do? If you lucky and you have certain things put into place, you'll be okay. Okay. But if he done called down to your job, done got you fired, then you really don't know what you're gonna do. You can get on unemployment, but that may not necessarily cover everything, and it takes forever. So now you're faced with, your mortgage or either your rent needing to be paid, and he's flying all off the handle with Jezebel, and you stuck with them babies and them bills. And there are goddesses, that will help you, and they will help you very quickly. But you just have to know how to invoke those goddesses. And a lot of people don't really know about ritual or spiritual invocation to even get help. So sadly, they end up, you know, they really do end up homeless and out there. Okay. I know that's right, girl. For a while, his mom was putting him in the mental hospital. Yeah. I think that it's even more devastating if a person already has some kind of mental issue like bipolarism, narcissism, and then Jezebel will touch and tap on to that problem, and then it just grows like a wildfire. Okay, it just grows. So yeah, yeah, I know that's right. And make him go get tested. Yeah, definitely make him go get tested because he could possibly go out. Jezebel's spirit will make him go out and have sex with a bunch of women. Um, women that he knows, very self-destructive behavior. He'll gravitate towards women and sex workers that may be getting ready to pass him something. He'll gravitate towards those type of women. He'll even gravitate towards especially situations where I hate to say it, but I do, and this is not anything as far as like a shot at gay men at all, because uh, but it will cause the down low activity. Jezebel's spirit will cause that because she's seeking this sexual energy from anywhere, and whether or not it's got to be from a man or a woman, because at that point of his possession, he's not having sex to appease um himself. He's having sex for this false god, which is Jezebel. He's having sex with her, for her benefit, so she can feed off of that sexual energy. So he'll either do that, he'll go on the extreme side of hoeing around, or he'll become celibate. However, Jezebel is still feeding off of him. And he'll realize it because he'll start to get sick. Either way, he'll start to get sick. He'll start to feel out of his mind. He'll start to get anxiety. It'll start to get very scary for him. And then that's kind of when he will start to show up and start reaching out and trying to ask for help. I would say if I would have known what I know now years ago, because I've dealt with men possessed by Jezebel and I've had all sorts of traumatic things happen. But I think that if you in love with a man and you know you want to be with him forever, um, then you need to have some kind of more so protection, maybe a symbol of protection on him so that she can't just possess him whenever she feels like it, whenever she wants to use him for some purpose, you know? Well, that's good. That's good, sweetie. Yeah. And so there's a lot of them out there like that. And you have to literally watch yourself because a lot of people think that Jezebel spirit is all about sex and getting money out of men and meeting somebody wealthy and him paying your bill. No. Jezebel manifests herself in many ways. And she's also a poverty spirit. Jezebel disconnects you from your creativity. She's not some lavish, person that has the capability to bring a bunch of money into your life. And she may be able to bring you temporary money, but it's not stable. It's not a foundation. It's not a stable enough foundation when it comes to her. And that's why I don't fool with her. Okay. A lot of witches probably don't agree with me when it comes to that, but I've seen the devastation. She causes a lot of crimes of passion, either men killing women, women killing men. I know for a fact that, believe it or not, it doesn't look like it. But if you notice a lot, I was listening to Too Short the other day, Freaky Tales. I was listening to that song, and as I was listening to that song, I realized that while he recorded that song, he was under Jezebel possession. you know, because hey Jamie, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Uh, well, for me, my experience, what I would take away from that experience is empowerment as well as a woman. Okay. Um, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a woman that can pay your bills independently. Okay. You know, I mean, obviously the need for a man would be that, but I also think that there should be something put into place for yourself where you can pay your bills independently. It's nothing wrong with that. I mean, just because you can pay your bills independently doesn't mean that you should have to. I mean, just because you have it doesn't mean that he still shouldn't pay your bills. So you can make your own money, put that money in savings, and let him pay the bills. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So you don't, you know, so but let's face it, um, all of us, a lot of us, a lot of people are two paychecks away from homelessness or starvation. Let's keep it a buck. So, when it comes to that, you do have to be able to hold yourself down. Okay. So that's the good aspect of it. But you don't need Jezebel's spirit to do that. That's not that's not Jezebel's spirit. People always try to relate Jezebel to some kind of women's empowerment, but it is not. And I warn people about that. And when it was a full infestation, like it was literally, I mean, it was really bad to the point where I felt like her energy, her spirit was so bad to where she was trying to force me to not speak against her. But I do speak against her because I see this spirit, and so do my other spirits, because I work primarily, I work with true goddesses. Okay. So for example, some goddesses that I've been known to work with, my matron goddess will always be Santa Martha. Okay. She's my matron goddess. But other goddesses that she doesn't mind me working with would be goddesses like, sometimes I'll invoke Isis's spirit. Sometimes I'll invoke Sekhmet's energy. Sometimes I'll invoke Hestia. Okay. I love Hestia because Hestia looks after the home and the hearth, in fact, there's been times when I've invoked Hestia, and things will just start to happen. The upkeep of the house starts happening. Things start to become more organized, and she protects the home. So you can be empowered as a goddess, but Jezebel is very, very lower vibrational, in my humble opinion. And you don't necessarily need her for money or for sexual gratification. Okay. So I just, I'm, that's just like, there's certain deities that I rejected, but I feel like Jezebel's spirit, I don't agree with her. And I think that the main aspect of it is about the way you overcome her ultimately is by standing your ground against her. You have to stand your ground against Jezebel because she's very interconnected with all of us, especially if your family has deep roots in the church. That in fact, a lot of you guys, your family members, the generational curses that are in your bloodline, it is Jezebel's spirit, everything about it. The financial difficulty that she causes, the you know the defilement totally of your body, of your sexual energy, comes from her. And so I believe that her existence in the church heavily, as well as in the hearts and minds of men and in bloodlines, have led some people are totally under Jezebel's curse, because these women and men, they are out there and they are selling their body, and they don't like it. And they are so a lot of you guys, just like me, was very lucky. But some people are not so lucky when it comes to Jezebel. They're totally under her grip. She has a stronghold. And when Jezebel has a stronghold, okay, so Jezebel, just like any other spirit, you can deal with her with holy water. A lot of people think that the only way you can have holy water is by being blessed in the church. You can actually bless your own holy water. I do it all the time, especially when you guys are making your waters and your bath waters, or either your floor washes. Okay. Um, and I just, Jezebel, to me, I feel that she really, what I've noticed is her time that she comes in is typically when Mercury is in retrograde. So you have to watch if Mercury is in retrograde, or if Venus is in retrograde. Okay. If you guys notice, the sun and the moon, they never go into retrograde, but these other planets, especially Mercury, when Mercury goes into retrograde, uh I feel like she pops up and tends to pop off, is what I've noticed. It may not be every Mercury retrograde. She can strike whenever uh she feels like it, or whenever she feels like that there's an opening. um but I feel that that's when she can do the most damage, because she causes this horrible communication and this lack of understanding completely. And it's almost like a complete and total reality shift. And so if Jezebel there's several different things that you can do, that you may have to do, because she can completely and totally flip your world upside down. I mean, honestly, she can flip your world upside down. And so it's not just working directly on him, it's also these paradigms or paradoxes that are being created, I think, whenever we have these certain planetary shifts and stuff. So it goes a lot deeper than that. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So let me see what y'all talking about. I was once a part of a group, short lived, and they praised Jezebel. Oh yeah, you got a great intuition. That's just like, okay, when I think of Jezebel, what other deity can be compared to Jezebel would be a Lakshmi. And a Lakshmi is Lakshmi's elder sister. So she has the same energy as Jezebel to me. It's comparable. And like, so Lakshmi is the goddess of fortune, fertility, good health. She's a healing goddess, uh, you know, prosperity, abundance, stability in your marriage, her and Vishnu. But then when you look at her sister, she's like a direct opposite, which is why she has the A before Lakshmi. Okay. And there is a working that I have found to be very effective, very effective. And it's not that expensive, especially right now. It's been very effective. I'm not going to divulge what that is, because I feel that we're always constantly being watched on these YouTube streets. And you just the more that is kept in secret about this stuff, the better. But there is a way to to get rid of Jezebel, and her energy completely, out of your home. Now, as far as like exercising her off of a person, that person would probably have to be more so present, which is why I always tell you guys to I'll send you a bottle of unopened purified water that's blessed, and get him to drink it. um because a lot of men, they're not gonna, you know That they'll be present for sex rituals and, demonic rituals that are going to harm them, but a lot of them, they don't want to be a part of a ritual that's going to actually help them. Because I'm going to be honest with you, um, that shift that is caused, it's scary. It's scary. The energy shifting, the shifting from lower vibrational to a higher frequency, it's very scary, which is why a lot of people avoid it. Why do y'all think a lot of people are scared to change? Do you really think it's just because they don't want to change? They do want to change, but that change can be scary. It can be very, very scary. It can, it can make you feel as though something is wrong. Like it'll kind of make you feel like Okay, I apologize for that, y'all. That was a phone call that I got. Now I'll just call whoever that was back. Um, so that group that was praising her, um, you were right for walking away, because I feel that Jezebel, she may gift you with certain things, but I feel like she causes bad luck in the long run. Okay, she causes bad luck in the long run. I've never heard of that, but I've probably heard of it, just not by name. Yeah. It's, I'm going to tell y'all something. When it comes to your relationship with your person, and this is whether or not you're married, or you have a new intimate relationship, or you have a relationship that you've been in for years with this person, the main thing that just, it's weird, it's sickening. What I don't like about Jezebel spirit affected people is that they destroy the sanctity. It destroys the sanctity. It's constantly about, it's like a violation. And I actually have a sex tarot deck. It's a love tarot deck that I have, and I'll upload the, because I did a really, really good reading on, for the collective, on TikTok. And in some of the depictions, you can see that Jezebel spirit on some of the cards, because you know who necessarily wants people watching and looking and inquiring and, you know having a discussion about, you want your sexual energy with the person that you love, you want that to be private. And I think that Jezebel likes to violate people. And the main thing that she likes to do is violate your privacy. And she wants to sit and talk, to your person or your man about sex, the sex that you're having. She wants to sit and have a discussion, and she wants to be all up in that. And it's just like, would you go? Like, go away. Like, why are you worrying about what me and and my person are doing in the bedroom? And I know that's right. So there's a lot of people that have embraced those sexual demons, because that's what Jezebel is a sexual demon. um and there's other sexual demons, such as Mode, but as Mode goes a little bit deeper than just sexual energy. But it's it's sickening the way that Jezebel, the spirited people, are just, they're asking about sex, and they're about, well, what did you do with her? And but it comes from a very negative place, to where she's almost shaming, uh for the situation that you're having with this person, which, you know you don't have to have regular missionary sex in the bedroom. It's almost like she thinks that she owns sexual exploration. She thinks that she owns your sex, and it's like, you don't. Like, gross, go away. It's very, it feels like a violation. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Because, whether or not you and that person are having what they call vanilla sex, because I know that there's a lot of couples that kind of go back and forth between vanilla sex, and sometimes you may have some freaky sex, and sometimes sometimes you may have some stuff that don't need to be discussed, maybe. But, Jezebel, she wants to feel as though all of that sort of belongs to her, and she rules over that. And what you do with your person is sacred, and she's trying to make everything so dirty. And a lot of people are kind of turned on by that, which is why she's primarily in the church. And that energy of, oh my God, me and him did some things that we shouldn't be discussing, or even the sexual draw between the two of you is shameful, and it's dirty, but it's almost like you're being bad, and it's the excitement of that. It's the excitement of of this sexual experience, which, and it's just like, oh, I'm bad, punish me. I'm so bad for doing this. I want to be punished for what I'm doing, instead of the relationship growing. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like it's a punishment, and it's misery. So then that's when the energy of masochism starts to come into your relationship, and then you end up in this sadomasochistic cycle, and you're looking at the situation, and it's different. You know that you love this person, and that you're having these experiences with them that are your experiences, and you don't have to, sex doesn't have to be shameful to be good. It's, kind of like that church energy. Like, oh my God, we're so dirty, we're so bad, we're sinning, and it just, that doesn't jive for me sexually. It's like, oh, I'm gonna, like you have to feel bad about your connection with that person, and you're not supposed to. You shouldn't have to feel bad if you have a connection with somebody, and it is love in that connection, and y'all have explored each other. Then who is the church or either Jezebel to judge that? So I don't like that. And when you are a couple with somebody, whether or not you live together or not, when you are a couple with somebody, you're going to explore sexually. So these particular demons, like as, and I don't think Asmodeus is not like Jezebel. Jezebel is annoying. If her spirit has too much control, she's annoying and downright pathological, nosy, a lot of nosy women, right? There's a difference between being curious and nosy. And y'all know what a nosy person is. Somebody that's always in the business. And that's Jezebel's spirit too. And the crazy part about it is that Jezebel is actually very harmful for readers and for witches because she almost tries to emulate the witch. Whereas a witch or a reader, okay, a spiritualist or a reader, people are going to come to her. They're going to come to the witch and they're going to ask questions because they know that this witch specializes in spirit and the negative aspects that a spirit can be having on your life. Whereas a nosy person is inserting themselves and forcing themselves into a situation. So it is different. And Jezebel spirited people want to pretend as though they are, you know, a witch that people come to get work done and stuff, but they're not, because I don't ever go to nobody's inbox and say, hey, do you need some work done? That's something that Jezebel will do. People are going to come to me, you know, people are going to come to me, when they have a situation that they need to be handled. And so it is very different. And so that's why as a witch, I understand the connection to Jezebel as women, but you can't let her rule you or run over you. So it's not necessarily about getting rid of all of it, because the church, the way that they see Jezebel's spirit, is a woman that talks back to her man. Okay, well, when you see some of the things that these men involve themselves with, sometimes you have to talk back to him. You can't just be quiet. Sometimes you have to say, hey, hon, we need to talk. Can we talk? Can we talk about this? Sometimes, sometimes that's necessary. Now you don't have to go. I mean, sometimes things will irritate you and you'll start screaming at them. And that you're forgiven for that. But at the same time, you're letting them know, hey, this is not kosher. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, you can't just, I mean, let's say, and a lot of these men fall under possession unless they are truly, truly in their divine masculinity. Okay. They will fall easily under possession. When the wind blows, it's, a spirit attached to them. And if they saying something crazy to you, you're supposed to say, hey, what are you doing? You're not supposed to sit up there and go, okay, okay, whatever you say, whatever it is, I don't care what it is. No, you're not supposed to do that. So there are some traits that the church will call Jezebel, but that's not Jezebel, that's divine feminine. You know, that's just like if a man is getting ready to go with a group of people and he's influenced and he's possessed and he getting ready to go off with some group, getting ready to do something crazy, and you ain't supposed to say nothing. You just supposed to sit back and let him do it. You ain't supposed to say so. So the church's definition of Jezebel, to me, it's not good. And the church these days are just hell bent on destruction because they see destruction as a physical reality And so they always try to say that they are not of the flesh, and it's not of the flesh. But they, and especially when they say, oh, we in end times and Jesus is going to come back. And I believe Jesus has came back already a bunch of times. We just don't know what it actually looks like, because the church takes it as a literal thing, to where it's supposed to be this this entirely physical world gonna be burning and stuff like that. But they're not really understanding that it's more so metaphorical, especially when you're reading the Bible and you look at Revelations. Right. So I say that when it comes to the Bible and taking things literal, and like I said, Christianity itself is not necessarily a bad thing. It's more so the people that are interpreting it. So, like, for example, when it comes to Armageddon, Armageddon is a reality shift, a paradigm shift, because we know that we are all still physically here and that we exist. Okay, when you're dead, you know it. So, when you're not actually a physical being, you know it. So there's some people that you want to be careful with, because I'm very careful when do I believe that we are not actually here? Because there's some people that will go that far and they'll say, oh, well, this is not real. None of this is actually happening, you know. But in reality, we are here, but sometimes there are people that can mold and shape your reality. And yeah, a lot of them are trying to do that from behind a computer. So literally, we are fighting with cyberdyne technologies. But you have to be careful to not get caught up in that matrix and understand that, reality can always shift. And we were having a huge shift yesterday, a huge one. I know that, and it started probably about, it was probably about 11 p.m. is when we started having this shift. And that was at the same time that I had went live on TikTok and I did some pyromancy, and you could feel the shift, but you could also feel the energy of people trying to stop the shift. And that's where it becomes sort of uncomfortable and it becomes scary, because I've managed to shift several realities in my life. Yeah, it was last night when it was happening. And so I've been able to shift several realities and change things in my life. And while those, maybe back in 2017, was when I had a major shift somewhere between 2017 and 2018. It was scary then because it was the first time I had ever shifted. But, so as a witch, I'm used to that shift. I'm used to change. I'm used to that spiritual energy that creates those miracles. And you got people trying to block it out. You got people trying to block it out. So that's another issue. That's another issue. Yeah. Mm-mm. It wasn't just you. I felt it and I had to ground myself. And you shouldn't have to ground yourself with a shift. The shift comes in, which that energy shift right now involves either healing, or either money shifts, shifting in realities that are involving money. And if you've done the spiritual work, okay, if you've done the spiritual work, you're ready for that. But I believe that those energies that want to stop it can cause it to be scary or either painful. And those shifts don't have to be painful. You just kind of, it's almost like being on a boat that's floating above the water. And you may have even had a storm. You may have even had a storm while you're on that boat, but now you're reaching calmer waters because you've realized that you either are going through that shift because of spell work, or either you manufactured the shift. Sometimes you have to manufacture your own shift. So that's, I believe, what my planetary cleanse is about. When I do a planetary cleanse, it's actually more so of a reality shift type of thing. And it don't have to be scary. You welcome it, you're ready for it, you're ready for those blessings, you're ready for whatever problem that you're having to be solved. You ready for that. Why would that be scary? You're used to it, especially if you're somebody like me, that managed to start to manifest for myself, and became very successful even as a single mother. I became very successful, and my life changed for the better. And it's a good feeling, it's a good thing. It shouldn't feel bad. That shouldn't be a scary experience. But the reason why it's scary is because there are people that don't want you to shift. There's people that don't want that reality to change for you. And let me just say this, another symptom of Jezebel is where a man will, if you don't do what he say, and if you don't bow down or cower to him, now all of a sudden you got to be homeless, half dead, or either you can't have no food in your refrigerator. You got to be starving. So that's how you can tell he possessed too. So you supposed to lose everything because of his mistakes. And you got to learn a lesson that's going to set you back several years. And you ain't supposed to, and at that moment is when spirit should come to you and say, "Hey, we going to make this happen for you no matter what." And the easiest way I can think about that, I'm going to give you guys an example. Okay, let's say that you fell behind on your car payment and they getting ready to repo your car, but you need your car to get to work. Maybe you had an unexpected expense, you know, and your money became kind of funny and you couldn't afford your car payment, and you didn't have no other way of getting it. And you're dealing with all this other stuff, and it seems like everything, you having to hide your car in your garage. Some of y'all got devices that they put on your car that will shut your vehicle down if you don't pay that car payment. So then you can't get to work, and your job ain't on the bus line. It ain't on the bus line, right? And let's say at the same exact time, this man, he running off with the nasty Susie Q, the whore of Babylon, and you feel like this man done left you high and dry. At that moment, what you should have already had into place is some kind of money channel that you can open to bring in that extra money to go ahead and pay that car payment. Okay. And so spirit will come to you and say, "Hey, you need what? $1,400? You need $2,000? You can manifest that. But if your money channel is blocked at the moment and you feel like I can't, it's too much, and it's just too much that you're dealing with, and that money channel, or either you don't know how to unblock that money channel to where that money can go ahead and come in. then you can, and of course you want to work with your ancestors, and you want to work with specific deities. Okay, so that's why I say a lot of people, they want to be into monotheism. And that's fine, but there's certain deities that will make that happen for you very quickly, and they are very specific to transportation. Okay, and so let's say you didn't have that option. Another option would be filing bankruptcy protection, which a Chapter 13 bankruptcy will make it possible for you to keep your car if you have to go through that. So there's other, but see, a lot of times when you're going through that, those spirits will cause your mind to be blocked to where you can't think straight, you can't function. You're totally in that reality of failing and losing everything. And how do you get out of it? And sometimes, depending on your bloodline and who you are, you may have went through that cycle so many damn times. You like, what the hell is going on? Every time I get up on my feet, I fall. And it ain't supposed to be that way. To where you're just constantly living in struggle, and you can't turn that situation around very quickly. So that's where the wisdom of witchcraft will come in, because I'm gonna tell y'all something. Oh my God, I have been in some crazy situations. And some of these situations, I bought them on myself, but it was for good reason, a higher purpose for myself, for my higher purpose, so that I can live my best life on my terms. But I've been in situations to where, you know, I've had to have those miracles, and those miracles have came in. I've ushered, I was able to manifest that. And you can. So when you feel like you are at your lowest point, that is the opportunity for you to rise. But do I feel that prayer can do it? I think that sometimes it can. It depends, because sometimes prayer can be working against you. It depends on your situation. It depends. You got to look at your whole situation. You got to look at you got to look at everybody around you. You got to look at, eh, you know, you got to look at everything around you. You got to look at what everybody doing too, not just self. Of course, you want to look at yourself first, and you want to look at yourself last at the end of the day. But you need to address those holes. And I mean HOLES, not holes, holes. Those cracks. You got to address those cracks. In your vortex, or in your protection bubble. Okay, in your reality. Okay. So, and so a lot of you guys, like I said, I realize that when I'm removing a lot of the generational curses, that I am dealing with Jezebel factually. Okay. The way Jezebel has cursed a lot of your families is through religion. She's done it through religion. She's created a lot of unhappiness, a lot of instability, a lot of things. So, okay. All right, guys. I will see you guys later. I've enjoyed this discussion. I hope that you guys have a great day, and have a happy full moon. Okay. And I am accepting clients for the full moon for either emergency spiritual services. Some of you guys are suffering from emergency. Some of you guys have work that you've been waiting to do for a while. So, but especially with the emergency services, okay, because, you know, different people are dealing with different things, but this is one major aspect of it as to why that energy keeps fluctuating and keeps, so Okay. And then also, all of my spells and rituals are 50% off at the moment, which does not lower the strength of it. It doesn't. In fact, I love doing those, specials because it helps people out. Okay. All right. Link to my website is below in the video description box. And I will see you guys later. Also, my email is below. Okay. All right. I'll see y'all later. Okay. Blessings. Bye bye.